You find yourself outside a castle. It's tall and made of many bricks and things. The door is wide open.
I entered the castle.
Turn to page 4. You enter the castle. You see a suit of armor and a doorway to the north.
Well, I don't know enough about castles to dispute any of what you've said. I'll take the doorway, the hallway to the north.
Turn to page 37. You enter through the doorway and there you see a couple of queer trans ladies.
Oh, goodness. Hello.
You greet them and they tell you about their week. It is interesting. You proceed to have conversations with them or go through the door to the north.
I continue to have conversations with them. They seem very interesting.
Turn to page 125. You continue having conversations with the nice queer trans ladies. They tell you about things that they have played and things that they have watched. Turn to page 245 to continue this conversation or proceed through the door.
I'm committing to this ending now. I want to see this ending of the adventure.
You continue to have a conversation with them. They proceed to do some funny skits for your entertainment and tell you about things they've listened to and talk about social justice issues in silly voices. Do you continue to have the conversation or do you wish to proceed through the door?
I continue with the conversation.
You, it seems, have encountered some queer and pleasant strangers. Congratulations, you have been entertained.
Hooray, best ending.
Greetings, strangers, queer and pleasant. I'm not Laura Kate Dale.
And I'm not Jane Aerith Magnet. And welcome to another episode of Queer and Pleasant Strangers, that podcast where two queer trans ladies talk about our weeks and have a bit of a catch-up and do silly voices and such.
Assuming you turn to the correct pages.
Assuming you turn to the correct pages. I don't know what podcast we would be doing now if I had chosen to, investigate the suit of armour.
I guess it would be a D&D podcast.
Aha! Well, maybe I need to do, it's like you do the other path on that Choose Your Own Adventure and you end up in Dice Funk or something.
Maybe, or polyamory.
Indeed. How are you doing this week?
I spent the entire weekend being very, very snuffly. Aww. And now I feel like I'm at the tail end of snuffly.
Yeah, you definitely seem like you're suffering less with the snufflies.
Yeah, I'm congested and my sinuses are a bit sore, but they're not nearly as bad as they have been. It's not a constantly running nose thing,
yeah.
And I'm a little bit... I feel a bit bassy still in the vocals.
The continuing adventures of one of us is always a little bit ill.
Woo.
Yay! Human bodies being fallible things.
Woo.
I'm good this week. I'm just tired.
Yay!
I've had some very eventful uses of my week.
Yeah, you have. Tell us about the thing you did, the big thing you did.
Well,
the whole weekend thing
in terms of things we've played this week, which is our first of our many segments that we do on this show, I played a thing, but I also made a thing that I played. I took part in Journo Dev Swap. Yeah, so this was something that was organised by Yuki, who are a trade organisation that helps the UK independent game scene, as well as Alzheimer's UK. We basically did a 3-day-long game jam, and for anyone who doesn't know about the concept of game jams, it's basically you have a limited amount of time, make a game from scratch. It's not very long, so, the games are probably going to be slightly rough prototypes. You're given, a theme at the start of what you're making a game about. But the idea for this one that was kind of unique was game journalists and game developers swapping places. So I, as a person who criticises games and does not know how to make games with proper game development tools that aren't Twine or RenP or RPG Maker, was like, hey, you're going to have 3 days, here's Unity, and here is someone learning to make games at university, make a game.
Mm-hmm.
Which was a mildly terrifying prospect. I think in the building, during, daytime hours, we had, 17 hours to work on the game? In a team of 2. The theme was Brain, and I think there were 8 teams of just a journalist and a student, and yeah, I spent a few hours on Friday, then some time on Friday night up when I got home, and so it was a whole thing. I had most of Saturday and then had a few hours on Sunday to finish things. I spent like Thursday, the day before the game jam started, basically trying to teach myself the basics of Unity. So I did a lot of looking at YouTube, using like free assets and like copy pasting other people's scripts.
Mhm.
And I learned to make a little 2D side-scrolling platformer with parallax and a spawn point and stuff like that. And then we decided to do a game in 3D, which neither me nor the other person I was working with over the weekend had any experience in 3D. So we just jumped in at the deep end and taught ourselves to do a thing, which was mildly terrifying. But yeah, over 17 hours, over 3 days, plus the 4 hours I spent working in the middle of the night, we made a game where the whole idea was that it was set in a brain, and because we were working with, it was to do with Alzheimer's UK, we took that thing quite literally. You were trying to retrieve memories in a brain, so you had this central room with 4 other rooms around it that were all themed, so it was nice and easy to find where these memories were sorted. So the clue might be something about where have I left my laptop? And you'd be like, the room full of household item locations, go find the laptop in there, bring it back. Done. Nice and easy. But then we layered lots of things on top of it. So initially, everything is in neatly organised places. Then the locations start randomising. Eventually your character slows down. There's a timer placed on you to add some pressure. And it's basically, the memories are all still there, but it gets more and more difficult to recall them, to just get them and find where they are and remember them and manage that. So it was our attempt at having a mechanical way of representing, struggles with memory issues, which was quite a thing to work on as someone who has had a family history of people with memory issues and has had some concerns about my own memory at times in my life.
Squad.
Woo. So yeah, it's not the most polished thing in the world. It's a bunch of square rooms with a bunch of square objects in them and some hastily stretched brain textures over the wall as wallpaper.
I really like the wall texture.
I did my best with it, but it's not the best thing in the world. But I was really proud of what we achieved. We had a thing that had a user interface and objectives, and you could complete the objectives, and the difficulty escalated toward to a narrative endpoint. I think we achieved a good thing with our time.
I liked it.
Yeah. So that was an intense 3 days. I came away from it a lot less scared of Unity than I was before. I feel the way about Unity that I do about stuff like, say, Photoshop, where if you've only ever used Paint and suddenly someone hands you Photoshop, there's a certain moment of, I'm a bit paralysed by choice here. I don't know what everything does, and there's too many things, and
there is a lot of things.
Yeah, Unity is the extreme end of that. It's not as scary as it looks, but because you don't know what anything does, it's terrifying. And having spent a day trying to teach myself with YouTube tutorials and 3 days working with someone on a project, I'm I feel like at the very least, I could make a 3D environment in Unity. I know where I would go to find some free scripts to make a character functionally move within that space. I know how I could make better assets if I, took more time with it. I feel like I learned a lot out of that game jam. And you should all go read my coverage on laurakbuzz.com because I wrote 3,500 words about that experience, and it was quite a thing.
Is the game up for other people to play?
Not currently. We are waiting to hear what we want to be able to put it out some way, and we're just making sure that we work out what the best way to put everyone's games out is.
Okay.
But you can go on YouTube to youtube.com/laurakbuzz and see a video of the game being played, where I sort of do a playthrough and explain, what worked, what didn't, what we were going for. I do a little developer-y commentary over it. So yeah, what about you? What have you been playing this week?
What have I been playing this week? Well, I've got a new cube.
Ooh, what's your new cube?
I've got a 7x7x7.
Oh heck, because you've been getting pretty good at that 5x5.
I have, but I can now do a 7x7x7 in about 20 minutes.
Oh, heck. I knew you solved a cube the other day in 20 minutes. I thought that was the 5x5 you
That
did
was
in
the
20
7.
minutes. Oh, well, that's impressive.
It's it's fun. It's got some slightly different stuff from doing a 5x5.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun.
Did you need to learn any new algorithms, or was it new applications of things you already knew?
No algorithms per se. Like learning to use commutators differently,
Yeah.
or more extensively, should I say?
Yeah.
That's basically where you shove one thing into a place and swap it with something else while making sure that when you put things back, the thing that you've got something else from will automatically get a piece put in the right place.
Yeah.
I don't know if that description makes much
No,
sense.
I know
I'll show you sometime. But,
I believe I know what you mean.
but yeah, like there's lots of that. The edge pairing is interesting.
Yeah.
Because obviously having like 5 pieces rather than like the 3 or 5 that you've got from 2 or 3 that you've got for others is a bit much.
A bit daunting.
Bit daunting, yeah. But all of the parity algorithms work the same, so my rowboat thing
Yes.
works.
And you had a bit of a revelation about that rowboat thing.
I was wrong.
No?
I thought I had it, and then I tried it. We should probably clarify. So last night I was sitting there thinking, I wonder if that would solve the edge parity issue on an even numbered cube.
Yeah.
It doesn't really.
Okay.
Like you can do that to swap things over, but that's not.
It's not a perfect solution.
That doesn't solve all of the problems, because there are other unique problems. Like you might end up with 2 edges on the top where they sit the right way up, and everything else around it is absolutely fine, but they are the wrong edge pieces for that. At which point you need to do basically a 2x2 algorithm.
Okay.
To make it work. So there's bits of stuff from both variants of the cube.
Okay. You still prefer your odd numbered cubes to your even
definitely.
numbers by a long way.
Yes, definitely. Although the thing is, now that I know a 7x7, I can literally solve any odd numbered n by n cube.
Goodness, hooray!
So yeah, that's cool. And also, it's the last one that's sort of an affordable price.
And a reasonable size to hold in your hand and
I'm not too worried about that. Like, it would be nice one day to own something ridiculous like a 15x15 or something.
Yeah, just to show off.
Just to have something that would just be like, this is going to take a couple of hours. This will be really fun.
Yeah, something that's not a 3-minute challenge.
Or even a 20-minute something challenge. Something you can sort of potter around with a bit and sort of come back to. But, like, with no intention of doing it as a speed solve. But 7x7 is about the last one that comes at a reasonable price because they're mass-produced and sell.
Yes.
Whereas 9x9s, you tend to be looking at prices like heading up towards sort of 70, 80 quid.
Wow.
Where my 7x7 only cost me 20 quid.
Yeah, I was going to be like, maybe 40 at the top. No, okay, no, more than that.
Yeah, and but then it's weird because I've seen 15x15s going for like 130. So at that it goes up significantly, but there isn't a huge.
There's just a weird jump.
There's a big jump for the sort of less popular ones. These just people still buy these.
Yeah.
But they're less popular, so they're going to cost a bit more.
You've got the mass-produced section, and you've got the specialty section.
Oh well, I mean the specialty section would be things like going up above that. Like I think the 33x33 is about 700-800 quid.
Ooh.
And it's like that'd be fun to own one day, but I'm not going to go out of my way for it.
No.
Maybe one day there will be a cheap
7x7 is the mass-produced, the threshold.
Yeah, I think that's the threshold of my, maybe I'll treat myself to one unicorn dance party or something and be like, you know what, I've had a bonus, I'm going to treat myself and get, a 9x9 or 11x11.
Ooh, yeah.
Ow.
Nice.
Yeah. What else have you been playing?
Well, I've got a thing up on at the second.
Yeah. Is that a Mareep?
That's a Mareep, yeah.
I know Pokemon.
Yeah, you know Pokemon. So I finished playing Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. And by finished, I mean I got every single shiny in the game and beat every single Master Trainer and maxed out every single stat and had every Pokemon to level 100. And there is literally nothing left for me to do.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like 2 months until Sword and Shield come out, and I'm like,
What do I do now?
I'm itching to play more Pokemon. What if I just go back and play, like, an older Pokemon that I didn't give that as much attention? So I've gone back, I pulled out my 2DS, and I pulled out the most recent Pokemon game, Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon. And I've
Isn't that 2 games?
It is, I'm doing Ultra Sun.
Okay.
But I've basically gone, I know what the shiny hunting method in that is, and it's not too much more complicated than the one in Let's Go Pikachu that I know.
Okay.
So I'm not making a huge jump in the amount of work I'd have to do.
But you are still going for shinies.
I'm still going for shinies. I'm going to boot this game up from the start again and replay it, knowing what the shiny hunting method is, and I'm not intending to 100% this before Sword and Shield comes out or anything, but
It'd be nice to have a little bit of a dex going.
any shiny Pokemon I happen to find in this that I can transfer forward will just be a little bit of extra progress made.
Hmm.
So, currently I'm sat just having I forgot how fun. One of my favourite features of Pokemon Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Moon, and I think it was a couple of games before that, is a feature called Wonder Trade. Where basically you put any Pokemon you want out into the world, and you will receive a Pokemon back from someone else that just sent a Pokemon out into the world. And it's a really fun little thing of just see what you get. In my past, I've put like really high level stuff on there. I've put like, extra starters that I've hatched from eggs and things like that for people that don't have people to trade with, stuff like that. And it's just been really fun being like, what am I going to get? People are really generous on it. Like, a lot of people, like, if they're trying to trade for, trying to build for something specific with, like, 100% perfect stats and as well as shiny and, those very specific things, if they get something that's, like, 99% of the way there and not there, they're like, it's alright, I'll put it on Wonder Trade. Someone will appreciate this, even if it's not what I'm after. Which is really nice as a way of thinking about it. Like, a lot of... the first Wonder Trade I did today, someone sent me a shiny Spinnerack.
Aww.
So I got a shiny through Wonder Trade as the first Wonder Trade I did. And was like, oh yeah, I forgot how lovely this community can be.
You got a Meowth.
Yeah, I got an Alolan Meowth. Yeah, it's just been... It's one of those Pokemon games that I never really engaged with the shiny hunting method on this because it was less obvious. You had to know from outside the game what it was you had to do, and I just hadn't sort of stumbled upon that knowledge, so I didn't do it. But it's been nice going in and going, yeah, I feel a little less daunted by the completionist aspects of Pokemon. Let's delve into those a bit. Let's have some fun with them. So it's been nice. Also, I forgot how comfortable the 2DS, the doorstop wedge 2DS is to hold. Like, it's a comfortable size.
I have to say, it looks better in person. Like, when I saw it in videos, it looked like one of those, like, Tandy LCD...
Yeah, it's...
things.
It's tall enough to be, like, comfortable in adult hands, and it's got, enough thickness at the top to... Like, it's a comfortable...
Yeah.
It's a comfortable design, and it fits in my my little Switch stand really nicely, which is good because my Switch Joy-Cons have both got major drift and I've had to send them off to Nintendo to get them fixed. So I'm probably not going to be playing much Switch for a little bit, so I'm like, it's okay, I'll go back and play old Pokemon games.
Oh, I'm happy to leave my Switch controllers. They are a little bit drifty, but apparently less drifty than yours.
It's okay. I've got a Pro controller, so like I can play docked, and I don't have any plans to play lots of Switch while traveling any time in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, it's been nice to go. As soon as the Switch happened, I didn't want to play anything on the 3DS. I was like, you know, there were still games coming out I wanted to play. I played through Detective Pikachu, but I was sort of like, I'm done with the 3DS. Give me everything on Switch. And it's nice to just go back and go, no, 3DS.
I was wrong. There are still things that are good.
Yeah, the 3DS is a nice system that, you know, I maybe was a little quick to you know, put in the past.
Yeah.
What about you? What else have you been playing?
I played some of that Control.
Oh, yeah. How you find Control?
I find I found it a bit difficult to control actually, but I think that might have just been our joypads.
Yes.
But I've got my 360 pad up here now, so
Hopefully that'll be slightly easier.
might play some more of that later. Yeah, like the idea is interesting.
Yeah.
I like the weird. I like the FMV stuff.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting. How it like has random FNV scenes of like, hey, here's explanations of stuff that happens around the facility.
Yeah. I really like the general concept of that game. The whole idea of, hey, basically every urban myth and legend ever was real, and this building was set up to sort of track down and isolate those various phenomenon.
And the building itself is one of those things.
Yes, the building itself is a weird phenomenon that should not exist, and that building does not like to be kept orderly and neat. It's like, no.
It doesn't like to be. It also doesn't like to anyone knowing about it.
Yeah, it doesn't want to be known about. It doesn't want to be chained down in one place. It doesn't want to be, you know, a set way, and it will very much resist attempts to organise it.
I like the brutalist architecture of the building itself, mashed up with the fact that it changes as a result of the presence of the hiss.
Yes.
So, like, you get weird, almost surrealist architecture in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff with the building having basically two modes of ways of seeing it. There's the sort of glitched version and the more sanitized version, I guess.
Yeah. I like the glitched version.
Yeah, it's just really interesting exploring basically a building that's made up of a bunch of different, like, this isn't what would be expected of a building.
It's like urban Harry Potter.
Yeah, a little bit.
Urban Hogwarts.
Yeah.
Sort of like, it does all the weird wacky stuff, but in a very brutalist architecture building.
Yeah, it does the sci-fi FBI equivalent of paintings that move and staircases that rotate.
Yeah.
It's a building that's alive, but less medieval and more sci-fi.
Yeah.
Modernist.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. I want to play more of it and experience a bit more and get more into it, because I've only played like a couple of hours, so I want to know what it's all about, really.
It's really fun just going around that facility with the various superpowers you unlock. It's quite a thing.
So far, I've only got lobbing stuff.
Yes, the sort of throw big bits of rubble at things.
Yeah.
Don't worry, you will get more things, and they're
I've
all
seen
very
Flight.
cool.
That looked interesting.
Yeah, Flight is very fun.
Ooh.
I'll do like a good. If I can fly and then throw stuff around with my mind, I'm like, oh no, okay, best game forever, done.
I'm feeling kind of super right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's the important thing. What about you? Got any others?
On the same topic as, you know, playing Pokemon on the 3DS, I've been going through and seeing just like what old Pokemon games that I feel really nostalgic are available on the Virtual Console on 3DS.
Oh.
So I picked up a couple of old Game Boy Pokemon games that I was very fond of. There is the Game Boy Color Pokemon trading card game RPG. That I'm a real big fan of that.
Does it capture the trading card game well?
It does. And the thing is because Pokemon as a trading card game has evolved, has had so few mechanical changes over the years, it's like, oh no, yeah, this plays very much like the modern game in a little RPG where you go through beating all the gym leaders and earning all the cards, and it's basically scratching the same itch that Yu-Gi-Oh! Switch game is, and I'm like, yeah, that's good.
Oh.
I picked up Pokemon Puzzle. What is it? Pokemon Puzzle League, which is
I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's one of those match the icons to make blocks disappear. Sort of your
Like Zoo.
Yeah, it's one of those sort of match the number of images in your sort of rotating the positions of images. But it's got a little bit of Tetris attack stuff where you're you're attacking the HP of the other Pokemon by doing combos of
Oh heck.
yeah, those kind of things. You know how in like Puyo Puyo Tetris, if you get like a good combo going, it damages the other person. It's that sort of mechanic. And again, there's like a story mode to battle through. And the other one I started playing was Pokemon Crystal, which was the Gold and Silver third iteration. And I played Gold, I played Silver. I never got around to playing Crystal back in the day, so I thought, you know what? I want to revisit one of my favourite Pokemon games, because it's a really fucking huge game. It had Gen 2, but it also had everything from Gen 1 in it, and I was like, I just really fancy revisiting that. So I'm going back and playing Crystal.
Heck.
What about you?
I've been playing an early access game.
Okay.
I've been playing Littlewood.
Because
it looked really sweet. I was like, that's really sweet.
So I'm
really
assuming this is connected to Martin Littlewood as of Yogscasty.
So.
No? Okay. I hear Littlewood and I'm like, is this Yogscast?
That's understandable.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be like the hero of this land who defeated this dark wizard, but you've forgotten all of your memories. And you will find out, people will be like, hey, do you remember when we did this thing? And you'll be like, no, okay. Well, I guess your memory hasn't come back, but anyway, it happened. Thanks. So, you're basically building a town, and people will turn up and be like, hey, I haven't got anywhere to live. And then you'll build them a house. And initially I was like, this is fun. I get to like raise no other landscape that's sort of popular style-y. I get to plant things. I get to sell things at the market that I don't need. I'm gathering wood. I'm gathering rock. I'm building houses. But as it's gone on, like, the materials I need to build new houses, even though they're no bigger than any of the previous houses, they're suddenly needing much fancier materials.
Okay.
And obviously, as more people are moving in, it's becoming like less of a, well, sort of put somebody over here, and I'll put somebody over here, and I'll put somebody over here, into I'm building a terrace. I'm just building a terrace.
That's what I have room for.
Well, the other thing is they all have requirements. So if you put this little desk in their house, they'll be like, hey, I wish my house was only 16 blocks from the market. So, like, okay, well, I guess I can move you closer to the market. I had a whole idea I was going to put, like, the town in, like, little blocks of residential and commercial and industrial.
But sure.
But I guess I could knock down your house and move it over there. You can, like, upgrade various buildings by spending materials, but then you'll have less materials for building other things. And it's got this thing where basically, instead of having energy or stamina, things just take time.
Okay,
So
are we talking real world time?
No, like, if you hit a tree and
Yeah.
get wood out of it, that will take a block of time.
Okay.
And if you knock down a tree entirely, that might take 3 or 4 blocks of time.
Okay.
So you can only get so much done in a day. And talking to people also takes time.
Okay.
So you get level ups for mining and cutting down trees, or gathering resources, or collecting like bugs, and talking to people, and travelling with people. And it just feels like there's never enough time, and that's too much of a reality for me.
Yeah.
Like, in the first couple of hours, I was like, I'm enjoying this little loop, I'm building all this little community, I wonder what it's building to, and it really feels like there's fuck all else going on in this game.
It feels like it's building towards, oh no, there's too much to do and too little time, and oops, real life has happened.
Yeah, because at the start of the game, it was very much a case of I've got time to chat to a couple of people, walk around with a person, compliment. You get to compliment one person per day, no more. Maybe do a bit of fishing, maybe do a little bit of harvesting, maybe build a new house. But before you know it, you've got all of these people who all want things.
Yeah.
Then you've got more people coming in. You've got quests you can go off and do in other areas. Like, if you run out of trees in your town, don't worry, you can go to the forest and then get on a spider, and the spider will take you to a place where there's just new trees that will regenerate every day that you can cut down for more resources.
But that'll take time.
But that'll take time. Not the travelling, because you can do all the travelling for free, but, like, that's it. That's it. You've gone for the day, you're cutting down trees. Yeah, you've upgraded your, like, lumberjacking skill,
Yeah.
but there's no time for talking to all the people. And you've got all these levels not building up. It's like, well, I can't do that because basically I need like 15 levels in lumberjacking. Oh, and I can't level up that because it needs wood. But turning my raw logs into lumber takes time. And I've gone from, I can do a little bit of everything every day. So you're going, right, I'm going to spend the day lumberjacking. I'm not going to talk to anyone. I'm not going to do anything else.
And
Today I am lumberjacking. Tomorrow I'm processing the wood. The next day I might have enough to build something.
And I feel like the talking to people is usually the appeal in these kind of games.
Yeah.
It's the thing that, like, that's your reward.
Yeah. The farming, the fact that you can only plant 6 crops.
Okay.
It's like, so you're not trying to step on Stardew Valley, but you're not giving me enough time to be really sociable with things.
Yeah.
So what is the point of this game?
It sounds like it wants to be a lot of different town management games, and it's not focusing on any one of them, and it wants you to focus on all of them simultaneously somehow.
It's gone from feeling like a fun little town management sim to a clicker.
Yeah.
Go here, click, 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 click. You're out of energy, go to bed. Click, 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 click. Go do this. Click, click, click,
That's
click,
a
click.
shame.
It's a shame. I mean, it's only in early access, so maybe something will happen, but I've put about 5 hours into it now, and I've just stopped giving a fuck.
That's fair.
And as it's only early access, I don't feel it fair to write a review.
Yeah.
I might do like an initial thoughts, but basically you've just heard them.
Yeah. Well, this is why it's one thing I've always really appreciated about Animal Crossing is that Animal Crossing is a lot better at not pressuring you to be doing a million things at once, and that you can just do, this is what I fancy doing right now, I'll do that, and you'll probably be fine. Have you played anything else?
I played some more Deadly Premonition.
How are you getting on with that?
About 15 hours in, I've seen the trans thing that everyone warned me about.
Yes, this is the gender non-conforming thing, yes.
And by thing we mean the thing that happens rather than the person.
Yes, thing is not referring to the person. Thing is the thing that the narrative event.
Yes. I've not got much further beyond that, so I don't really know how it's being handled. But ooh. Not great. I've done the flinch. I'll say that. Just the
well, see,
not going to be good, is it?
No, but like. You've been forewarned. It's not going to be so bad 'cause you know it's coming. If you'd hit that unknowingly, I think you'd have flinched a lot more.
I think I'd probably just gone, no, fuck this shit.
Yeah, there's the thing. It's, as I've said before, it's not good that is in the game. But I look at it and just go, this person ended up making the missing, which was really lovely, and I'm like, okay, I will forgive the fact that this is kind of shitty and just brace for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm braced for it. I want to know what happens with it. Like,
yeah.
I think pretty much anything else, I probably would have gone, oh, fuck this shit, and turned it off. Especially considering, like, at the very beginning of the game, I was like, what's with that animation that character just did?
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it now like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, no, when you were talking about that at the beginning, I was like, oh, don't say anything, but, yeah.
That's, don't get me wrong, there are some wacky fucking animations in this game.
Yes, but that specific character's brand of wacky animation is, when you know what that's alluding to, yeah.
Yeah, well, my not so much a review, but thoughts on it are spiralling. I think it might be one of the longest pieces I've ever written.
Yeah, I'm very much excited about your idea of how to score this.
Yes, we'll not spoil it.
I won't spoil it, but it's I think it's the only way anyone can score this game.
Yes.
Yeah,
have you got any others?
I think the only other thing is I finished Untitled Goose Game.
Honk.
Honk, honk, honk,
Is there more
honk,
to it
honk.
than what we've seen?
So when we last talked about it, I think I played about an hour of it, and I'd played through 2 environments that were largely the same sort of concept. It was steal a bunch of items, make a couple of events happen by honking at a person at the correct moment so they get startled. And that is kind of the flow of the game. It's 2.5 hours to completely finish a playthrough, roughly. You've got roughly 5 areas that they do kind of have a similar flow to them each time. There are definitely differences that pop up in terms of how do I put this? Interesting escalations of that set of mechanics. Like, for example, there's one area, I think it's the 3rd area in the game, where it's 2 houses' back gardens, and you're having to do things as this goose to basically pit the 2 neighbours against each other, rather than directly hassling either neighbour.
Okay.
So, like, for one thing, you might pull this man's prized rose that's very, very tall up, so it's right behind the big bush that this lady, prunes and cuts and has, shaped into an object, and then you start, biting at her pruned bush so that she, gets her shears out to redo it, and oops, accidentally cuts the man's very fancy rose. It's things see, that's interesting. It's using this shared space to get the 2 people to cause problems to each other.
An interesting bit of puzzle solving.
Yeah, the puzzle solving definitely does step up. There are puzzles that do new things with that set of mechanics. I think it's worth playing through to the end, because how do I put this? It ends on one very fun sequence of giving you a good contextual reason to go back through all those levels with one new, very clear objective. And it ends on a gag that completely, all of my complaints about that game melted away when I saw their ending gag. And I realised, oh, this narratively recontextualizes everything I've done, and now I find this I just find this really funny. I don't know how to talk about it without ruining it.
I've only seen your first video of it, so...
Yeah, so...
Did you record the rest of it?
No, but I may well do, actually. I might do that tomorrow. Yeah, there is a gag at the end that is totally, it's like, I done the fucking goose. It's good. It's a little on the repetitive side. I keep thinking about the 2 indie games I picked up last week, the week before, Sayonara Wild Hearts and Untitled Goose Game. And while Untitled Goose Game is longer, it's about 2.5 times the length to do a playthrough, I feel like Sayonara Wild Hearts has infinitely more value in replaying it, and is a lot more creative throughout its runtime. It feels like it's constantly something new, something new, something new, something new. It's throwing a lot of inventive stuff at you. Untitled Goose Game it's cute, and I'm glad I played it to completion. It did escalate a bit from, that first hour.
Yeah.
But looking at the 2, I understand the goose character has a lot of charm and personality, and that's, memes,
Twitter seems to think
yeah,
so. Memes
and whatnot have definitely sort of grown that character, but of the 2 games, I think Sayonara Wild Hearts is infinitely more interesting. I like them both. Untitled Goose Game is a good game, but here's how I'll put it. I got very excited today when I saw a limited run physical release of Sayonara Wild Hearts is happening, and I'm gonna treat myself to a copy, because fucking love that game. If I saw a limited run release of Untitled Goose Game go up, probably wouldn't bother. I'd be like, no, I've played it, I've got it digitally, I'm fine. It hasn't crossed that threshold in indie games of, I need to own a physical version. It's not like my To the Moon or my Undertale physical copy or anything like that. What about you? Have you played anything else?
I've done a bit of a create, like you with your thing. I got a graphics tablet.
Oh heck, yeah, you do.
I got a fancy graphics tablet.
You've got one of them graphics tablets.
Mystery person.
What has a screen, and you can draw directly onto the screen.
I can.
How are you getting on with it?
I drew a picture of you, me, and Becky.
And it's on Twitter, and it's adorable.
It's on Twitter.
The girlfriend's in the image, and it's very cute.
In the Kigus.
Kigu girls.
Yeah, so there's you as a bunny and me as a cat and Becky as a gremlin.
And we all look adorable.
Very adorable.
Is it nice having the ability to draw using a pen and then Control Z to undo?
Oh, the number of times I can just go, that line. Oh no, not that line. Not that line. That line. And just the fact that I can, like, hotkey Control Z to one of the buttons on the side, just like, that's really nice.
Yeah. Digital art is really nice when you can just do it as easily as you would art on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
With the luxuries of digital.
I'm definitely going to do a couple of art streams. Because there's stuff I want to do anyway, just for sort of silly stuff. And I did an art stream with a mouse a little while back because we needed badges for my Twitch, and people were like, do an art stream if you want to do an art stream. I was like, okay, we'll do an art stream. And it was quite nice because, like, in conversation sort of during that, people it was sort of suggested, like, hey, that thing you're drawing looks like this. So I did something slightly different, and now that exists as an entirely separate badge because of things that were brought up during that.
Yeah, that's lovely.
So, like, and there's been talk about other stuff that we could make, like, from other streams that we've done. It'd be nice to do sort of art or a thing.
Well, now that you've got the ability to do art more easily, I'm going to have to get your help to do some stuff on my Twitch, some badges and whatnot.
I'm more than happy to do things. Although, you talked about putting butts on there, and given that I saw somebody had their SpongeBob emote, like, flagged for indecency. Did you see this?
No, I didn't see this.
It's a shot from the actual SpongeBob cartoon. A SpongeBob having split his pants.
Oh,
there is no butt beneath those pants, but still, it was flagged as being too suggestive. It's like, wow. Well, I guess there's not going to be any butts on your thing.
Probably not.
But maybe we can get your tiny blue blob friend who's legally distinct.
Legally distinct blue blob friend.
Yeah.
We'll come up with some ideas.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to give that a try.
Heck, it's been very nice seeing you do art.
I like doing art. It's just a case of having time to do so.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think it'd be nice to be able to sort of make some of the art streams. Because then I'll get to create something and still do streams, and hopefully people will enjoy the drawings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heck.
Yeah. So what about you? You got any others?
That's everything I've played.
Well then, time for this. Are you a recently out trans person?
Yes.
Are you struggling with the concept of going shopping?
It's really difficult. There's all sorts of people everywhere. It's a whole ordeal.
Would you like somewhere where you can just shop in private without worrying about how people are judging you? Without worrying about whether or not you'll be questioned going into the changing room with the clothes you've picked out?
Honestly, there's nothing I want more right now.
Try Personal Shopper. Take a ticket and get access to our full clothing store. By yourself, with a friend, or with a single member of staff selected by you. Designed by trans women who struggled with clothes shopping when they first came out, and the fear they felt for the judgment of buying and trying on clothes when they were first coming out. Shop in safety, shop in comfort, at Personal Shopper.
Thank you, Personal Shopper. You've taken the stress out of the dress.
So, everyone, it's been a fantastic week coming up with every word in existence. It is Friday afternoon, and we do want to get this project done this week, so we just got like a few words left we need to come up with for things. Has anyone got a word ready for something that another person owns? It is blank.
It's theirs.
Well, didn't we already use theirs, like, twice? Didn't we use that for there is? And haven't we already used that one?
Well, it's spelled differently.
I feel like people are going to notice if we do that. Right. Okay. So we got that word for picking between multiple things, but we got a name, the Magic Ladies with the pointy hats.
Oh, I don't know which the best word is for that. Which that'll do.
Well, again, we've already used which. We used it for picking between lots of... I know it's a Friday afternoon and you all want to be going home, but don't you reckon if we use the same word for multiple things, it's A, going to get confusing, and B, someone's going to stop and ask what we were doing?
Well, that sounds a bit homophobic to me.
Oh, homophone. Clock it off!
So, what's a report in your eye?
We put a thing in our eyes together over dinner.
Oh.
We watched the first episode of season 4 of The Good Place.
The last season, no less.
Yeah, so I'm personally really glad that they're wrapping The Good Place, up to a finale this season, because, I feel like it would feel cheap to not have this particular narrative arc they're doing be where it ends, to try and drag it out further. And I want it to just have a nice, a satisfying conclusion and be done.
I think it's good when a series knows its limits and can say, hey, let's just wrap it up while it's still good, rather than go on forever and just lose everything.
This show's season finales and tie into its next seasons have always been so solid that every time they don't finish the show and do another season, I'm constantly terrified of, is this going to be the one where they fuck it up?
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see where it goes. For anyone who's not aware of the show, we've talked about it before, a bunch of people happen to discover that they are dead and they are in the good place, and our main character does not think she is supposed to be there. She's not necessarily lived a good life, and she's like, "Oh shit, I'm in heaven. I gotta lay low."
What if they find out?
Yeah, I gotta lay low. Can't let them know that I'm not meant to be up here.
Yeah. And it escalates from there over 4 seasons.
That show's first season surprise is one of the fucking best moments of TV I have ever seen, and it manages to continue being a good show after that. It doesn't just get the only good idea it has out of its head at the end of that first season and go, okay, we've got nowhere to go from there.
Yeah, they did a really good job with it. I'm glad they got what they did out of it, and I'm glad they're knowing to wrap it at the right time.
I'm enjoying the new character conflicts in season 4 of the new, this is what a person is acting like or experiencing, how do we deal with that?
Yes. How do you deal with someone who's in a certain state of thought?
Well, that's
I'm trying not to do spoilers.
Yeah,
it is very much what the series is about, but I think it's obviously we're experiencing other philosophical aspects.
Yes, the show has always been about how people's philosophical perspectives affect who they are or how they act in given scenarios.
Yeah, it's largely about philosophy and morality.
Yeah, and I'm very intrigued to see what they do with the philosophical problems posed by this last season. What about you? Have you watched anything else this week?
Well, before I mention my thing, I'm going to give a quick content warning for sexual assault.
And
advise everyone to skip forward about 5 minutes if that's not if that's going to be a problem.
I know what you're about to talk about, and I want to see it, but I need a day when I'm in the right headspace.
Okay, so warning starts now. Skip forward about 5 minutes. I watched Cameron Esposito's Rape Jokes.
Yeah,
which is her stand-up special. It's available for free on CameronEsposito.com, I believe.
Yeah,
and but they suggest at least a minimum $5 donation to a sexual assault charity.
Yeah.
For survivors. Cameron herself is somebody who has been sexually assaulted.
Yeah.
And it's been flagged up a few times by various people. I think Travis McElroy's mentioned it on something.
Cameron,
as being,
yeah.
Hey, if you're going to tell these kind of jokes, be funny about it, because Cameron Esposito is funny about it.
Well,
but it's not punching down.
Yeah, it's not making fun of people who have been raped.
Yes.
It's taking the situation and trying to find something uplifting trying to find the funny in that without making fun of the victims.
Indeed, it makes fun of the people who do it and the society that has created that.
Yeah.
But it's obviously not... I mean, she does make fun of herself many times during that show.
But again, it's very different when it's from the place
Yes.
of someone who has been a victim talking about their experiences as opposed to someone externally going,
Yes.
this is what rape victims are like.
And there are, because basically the show opens with sort of some telling jokes about things about the society, the state of society, men in power getting away with things, growing up Catholic and the need for proper sex ed and how that can sort of lead you to not really understand the things.
Yeah.
Realising she was a lesbian, the need for personal agency, which again came out of like growing up Catholic, of like, I didn't know I could say not to this thing.
Yeah, and the thing is you get so many comedians, particularly straight white male comedians, who complain about like, oh, no topic should be off the table for comedy, and it's like, you're right, but you as a straight white cis dude are not always the right person to do the comedy, or your jokes about that thing might just not be funny. Like, the jokes have to be funny, they have to be from the right person at the right time. Like, there are correct and incorrect ways to do humour on certain topics.
Yeah. What else was there? So, yeah, the need for personal agency and, like, understanding that you can say, hey, this is... Like, because there's a whole thing about how she didn't know that there was a choice of just saying no to certain things.
Yeah.
And no to society, and that you have to be with a man as somebody who grew up female. I think there is a little bit of stuff about Cameron's divorce, because she used to be married to a non-binary person, and they've recently got divorced, but, like, generally that they're not, she's not speaking badly of her ex, which is always good. The need for proper sex ed, realising she was a lesbian, the actual sort of story about how she was sexually assaulted, and it's not deeply graphic, but it is sort of like, hey, this is the situation that happened, and then, like, what you can do to not be that person, and sort of, because she talks about, like, this person that was stalking her, and that somebody stepped up and helped her, and there is a really funny bit about being the person that just steps up, and how that will be your legacy. It's funny and insightful. There is like a real moment of just like when she talks about the sexual assault, but like she works around it. She is funny in lots of other ways. The editing on it is slightly weird. It feels like it was deliberately cut down to be dead on an hour.
Okay,
So there's a couple of times where there'll be like almost a jump cut between a word. Be like, I feel like you cut something out there, or maybe clipped a couple of nights together.
Yeah.
To get better ordering.
Which is totally fair.
It's fine, but you do notice it in a few places, like particularly like that's clipping in a weird way.
Just to warn you, you've got 20 seconds left.
I know, I'm really hurrying up. I think I have mentioned all of the things about it. So yeah, that was all of my thoughts about it. It's free, with a suggested donation. So yeah,
you did that in pretty much exactly 5 minutes.
I was keeping an eye on the time.
Yeah, so was I. All I will say is, I have been meaning to watch that. I've heard nothing but positive things. I have always enjoyed anything that Cameron Esposito has been involved in that I have come across. It is just finding the right day and right time that, you've got to be in the right place for these things sometimes.
Exactly. I mean, if you want someone to sit with you, I will happily sit and watch the thing.
Mayhaps at the weekend, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, have you watched anything else?
On the complete opposite end of the, meaningful media landscape, I watched. Let me find the exact name, because it has one of those anime names that could be anything. Yu-Gi-Oh! Dark Side of Dimensions, which is a movie, a Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie based kind of around the characters of the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, but more so the manga versions of those characters.
Okay.
It's basically an alternate story told about 6 months after the end of the anime's story, or the manga's story. Basically, quick summary, Yu-Gi-Oh! It's about magical trading cards and ancient Egypt, and there's a pharaoh trapped in a puzzle that a kid wears around his neck that's really good at playing card games. And at the end of the show, the pharaoh goes back in time, back to be the pharaoh in Egypt, and it goes and becomes a ghost back in Egypt, and stops living in the puzzle with the boy. The pharaoh ghost is really good at playing card games, and there's a guy who runs the company that makes all the cards, Kaiba, who he is very, very upset that he is not as good at card games as this pharaoh. So that's your summary of Yu-Gi-Oh! This is like 6 months after that. Kaiba has basically gone, yeah, I know that Yugi says that, like, the pharaoh's gone back to, back to be a pharaoh back in the past, but I'm gonna go dig up the pieces of that puzzle and put that puzzle back together and drag that pharaoh back to current day, where he does not want to be, so that I can beat him in a card game, because I am still a fucking sore loser about the fact that I never beat this guy in a card game. So there's a big end of the world plot that gets introduced, because of course there is, and the way that Yu-Gi-Oh! Movies always seem to have this thing where they never make the end point of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie just a Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel. Because that's kind of what I want, is I just want a big visual budget, high stakes, cool, dramatic, well shot, like with some cool music Yu-Gi-Oh! Match. And every time they do a Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie, they're always like, nope, we need a new gimmick about how duels work in this movie, that they work differently for this one movie. So this one has a whole gimmick where you have to, when you summon a monster, you don't have to tribute for it, but you can choose what its attack power is up to its, listed on the card attack power, but if it's destroyed, you lose that many life points. So the stronger you choose to make it, the more life points you're risking by summoning it. It's a weird mechanic that doesn't need to be there, and because the appeal of that movie is, hey, it's been a decade or so since the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime finished. Here's an excuse for us to have Yugi and Kaiba do a duel again in cool, really nice visuals. And that's all I really wanted to see, and I kind of got that. It was kind of a sweet film. It was tacky and anime as hell. And completely... the plot was set up in such a way that it basically might as well have never happened. But I got to watch 2 hours of the cast of Yu-Gi-Oh! Doing more things, and then some cool, like, here's a new art style for that monster that you know and like, and here's some dueling happening, and they're doing trading cards and shouting at each other, and that's all I really wanted out of it. I knew it wasn't going to be a particularly highbrow viewing experience, and I didn't need it to be.
Well, I'm glad you got exactly what you needed.
I got exactly what I needed, which was a lot of people shouting at each other and summoning trading cards. Yeah. Hooray!
Yay!
Have you watched anything else this week?
Well, after last week's intro, I thought I should do the decent thing and watch The Joy of Painting with Bob Ross.
Yeah!
Because I'd never seen it before.
So, how did you get on with it until that 4th episode?
There's another one as well.
Okay.
It's interesting, and it made me want to do more painting.
Yeah, but...
although those techniques are really difficult, even on a graphics tablet.
Yeah, so for anyone who's not aware of Bob Ross, he's a man with a curly hair who just very gently talks about how he's gonna paint a happy little tree.
Some happy little trees.
Just
the almighty brush.
Yeah, some happy little trees. He's very positive about, like, it's fun.
He's very positive about landscapes. He loves a good landscape.
Yeah.
He loves a mountain. Loves a happy little cloud.
He wants to tell everyone that everyone can do art. Don't be so hard on yourself.
Yep.
Just do it.
Yep. And he'll even slip in, these. You can sell these for ridiculous prices if you want to make yourself a bit of money on the side. And there's my son. He's a painter too, but he's a lazy painter because he only paints when he needs the money. It's like, okay, but you seem to be doing a lot of encouraging of, hey, you too could sell this for a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's beautiful art. I especially like the clouds. I'm a big fan of the happy little clouds.
I really like his happy little trees. He makes very nice happy little trees.
He does. I would love to be able to do some of that stuff digitally, because there was one, I think, episode possibly 3 or 4. It's a night scene in snow. I think it might be episode 4, because I think it was the same one. With that moment.
We'll get there in a second.
And just the moon looked perfect for this thing I've been trying to draw for ages, but I don't have the pen and paper talent to do so. And maybe, like, oil on canvas is the way, or maybe I could work out a way to do it digitally. But, like, some of the stuff around the moon and, like, that stuff was really interesting. But basically, it's all landscapes. He doesn't paint, like, animals. He doesn't paint people.
I will occasionally do an animal in the distance, the silhouette of an animal.
Right, vaguely. I mean, I've not got to that yet, but, like, I'm most of the way through season 1.
Yeah.
But it's just really calm and gentle, and
it's
just
really
like,
wholesome, generally.
It's generally really wholesome. But then there was this bit in episode 4 where he's drawn this beautiful like snow scene and the mountain in the distance and the moon and the clouds around them, the happy little clouds around the moon, and then he's just like, let's just imagine that there was a trapper living here. And he's got the palette knife out and he's just like scraping in like a little house, and he's like, well, let's just imagine there was a trapper that used to live here, and one night he went to check out his beaver traps and he fell in the creek and drowned. And I'm like, wow, we really fucking escalated from happy little clouds, huh?
It's like, I agree with your sentiment, your sentiment towards trappers.
Absolutely,
but like, I was not ready.
My body was not prepared.
I was not prepared for you to allude to a dead body in the lake.
Right?
It's just really calming background stuff, though.
Oh, it's lovely. Although, like, the music they use in that show is really... Sometimes it's really weird.
It's occasionally it's occasionally a bit Deadly Premonition. It's like, that's some weirdly unfitting music you've put here.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that it was music that would take up half an hour while someone painted.
Yeah.
And there, Bob's just got this really calming ASMR voice that occasionally talks about people falling in the lake and dying.
You can see why people got really into the fact that for a while Twitch just had a 24-hour Twitch stream of just tune in and see some Bob Ross.
Well, I think what it was is I found a link to like a documentary video about why people can't buy Bob Ross paintings.
Yeah.
And that was like, made me go, hey, you know what, I've never watched any Bob Ross, I will give this a look. Basically, they're just not for sale. Yeah. He painted 3 versions of everything that appeared on that show. So, like, one as a pre-show sketch, the one that you see in the show, and then one afterwards that is dedicated to his mother. And is like this is the prime, the rare quality version of this same picture. They are all boxed up and stacked up, not even in like specially temperature controlled building, just in this thing owned by some of his family.
Wow.
And they sell like Bob Ross art supplies, and they are in control of the estate and stuff. And they just have them, and they're just not for sale.
I am endlessly amused by the existence of those paint by numbers with Bob Ross kits that exist. There is a Mabim Bam bit about, this one's a me and Bob Ross collab.
Awesome. But yeah, like, it's really inspiring, and he's very calming.
Yeah.
Some of his terminology is a bit weird.
Yeah.
Like, why is everything almighty? I'm just going to put in an almighty mountain using the almighty brush on my almighty easel.
Oh yeah.
And some magic white.
It's just very pleasant, easy to watch.
It's so good.
There's never going to be anything too distressing in a Bob Ross video.
No, especially if you don't like trappers.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorted. Have you watched anything else?
That's everything I've watched.
I watched some Lego Great Ball contraption videos.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know about these?
I don't think I do.
So at like a bunch of the US, I don't know if they do it here as well or in Europe, but like a bunch of the big US Lego conventions, they encourage people coming to contribute a module to this Great Ball contraption. And sometimes they'll do like here is this year's design. If you want to contribute a design, it can look exactly like this. If you've got these pieces, build it, bring it along, we'll put a tag in front of it, and that'll be your contribution, and then you can take it back at the end of the day. but we will pump balls through it all day long. And it can stand on this big table, and sometimes they'll have like up to 200 plus of these modules on huge, like 72 odd tables, the size of an aircraft
Wow.
hangar. And it will just be balls going through this contraption, and some of them are just like steps up with little ramps at the end. Some of that's just a simple thing, or like a wheel that will sort of escalate things up. The only rules are like it's got to get balls through at a sort of 1 per second
Yeah.
rate. But there's things like counters. Like it might put for every ball that comes in, it will count them to the point where they'd counted like 20,000 plus balls going through it.
Woo.
It was only holding like sort of maximum about like 50 at a time.
Yeah.
But just the way it counted them all up, and it was almost Minecraft-esque in it's just,
Yeah.
wow, you really went for this. And it,
Oh.
like, using sort of weights and counterbalances, or...
That sounds so
Technically,
satisfying.
it is.
Ugh.
The weird thing is, like, I saw this thing, it was like, oh, great ball contraption, I'll just click on that. And I was sitting there watching it, and I hadn't even thought about it. And next thing I know, I was like, this has been on a really long time. Clicked on it. I was 23 minutes into a 56-minute video.
Woo!
Of just going around this huge-ass table of, like, and here's this thing, there's, like, a ramp. This thing shoots things up into a bucket over there. This thing does this. Like, there's lots of the sort of default, hey, I contributed a thing according to the thing, but I'm part of this. And then some people will decorate them with just, like, I just put some minifigures on that, just to make it, like, a bit more me. And then you'll get people who really go all out and theme it. There's trains and things, shuttling things back and forth. Like, just the way it all connects together, and the fact it's all Lego.
I can tell you that this is 1,000,000% my jam, and I need this video
Check
because, like,
my Facebook from I think Saturday. There is a 56-odd minute video of I think a 2018 GBC.
Tomorrow while I work, that's just going to be on loop on my second screen because, like,
Oh, you don't have to even loop it. There's so many of them from various years.
God, because that's the thing is, I love stuff just going and going and going and doing the thing.
Well, they're talking you through
Right.
each of the little modules.
This is going to be my jam.
Oh, it's great. Like, there was one of them where, like, at the very end of it, they put in, like, a almost Robot Wars-esque thing, where the kids could come and sit and play with this little robot and just shove the balls as they came onto this, like, little football pitch into this hopper that pushed them back to the beginning of the thing. And it was a place for, like, hey, if any balls have fallen off of this because, like, they got just sprayed off because, like, some bit was slightly out of whack, just, hey, kids, just come and put them in this bit. And if you want, come and race the remote control thing and just push them into the...
If this weekend we happen to do costume making, can we just, like, stick one of these
Yeah,
videos on
I'm
the
up for
telly?
that.
Because, like, I'd be really up for that.
So, yeah, Lego GBC videos. They're really satisfying.
Yay!
We looked at a thing together, or I looked at a thing and then I sent you a link. Link to the Past in Dragon Quest Builders 2.
Oh my god!
Someone's recreated the overworld. And a lot of the interiors.
People have got too much time and skill on their
and
hands.
I very much appreciate that.
Yeah, no, that's an amazing... Just, if you like A Link to the Past and you have heard us waffle on about Dragon Quest Builders 2 and how great that game is, just go watch that video and just soak in what someone achieved.
Yeah, like, apparently it was 155 hours of building.
Doesn't surprise me. Although that does make me realise, apparently I had... I could have done that, like, 3 times in the time I spent on Pokémon, and I'm like, did I waste that time?
No. And the last thing I've watched is a bunch of Daniel Thrasher piano skits.
Oh, yes.
Don't know how I came into that to get that into my, hey, you should watch this. It's a person who plays piano really rather well, and they just do skits about what it's like to be somebody who plays piano, or what it's like when you don't want to play piano, but maybe you've got a family member who's like, I paid a lot of money for lessons.
Yes.
Okay, I guess I'll just play for release again. And just like silly little things like that, or
really fun.
what it's like from the outside when you're playing with headphones on. Just like ding, You could just hear the buttons clacking.
I very much... You sent me down a rabbit hole. I very much enjoyed this person's content.
Yeah, I don't know what the rest of their stuff's like, but I enjoyed their piano skits. They were very silly.
I did have one other thing to throw in quickly. I finished season 2 of Disenchantment. Disenchanted.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's really good.
Better than the first one?
Very much.
Excellent.
The second season's entire arc basically is hey, a lot of situations get fucked up because men will not listen to women who know what they're talking about, and women going, no, fuck you. There is a lot of commentary on like, the Middle Ages, a woman is competent, must be a witch, like shit like that.
Yeah.
There is a lot of like, oh no, a woman knows things and is competent.
Banner.
This is and I really like the way that how do I put this? At the beginning of season 2, there is a character set up to be a villain who, after this particular narrative arc, I come to the end and, you know, they just show her presence, and that's enough for me to, at the end of the season, go, maybe she was right, though. Maybe. Because, like, after a season of watching all these very shitty men fuck everything up for everyone, and this female character, like, knowing what they're doing and being roadblocked along the way, I'm like, maybe the villain was right. Maybe the villain knew something. Which is always a pleasant thing to experience in media, to go, maybe.
Indeed.
I very much enjoyed season 2.
Okay, well, I will check that out when I have some free time.
Yeah, there was the humour was all positive and well-meaning, and
Hurrah.
I still feel very bad for a particular character from early on in that series who deserved better than he got. It was too pure. It was too good. But I believe that's everything I've watched.
Well then, time for this. Laura, we've got a new sponsor!
Who's our new sponsor?
This week's sponsor are Video Game Controller Repair School.
Oh, tell me about them. What do they do?
Well, imagine it, right? Your console maker, say they're just making controllers that are known to have a flaw, and they're not really recognising that.
Yeah, you go and complain to them about that flaw, and they go, what flaw? Never heard of it.
Exactly. So basically, Video Game Controller Repair School is basically just giving you all of the instructions, all of the details, all of the little information you need, and helping you find equipment for how you can carry out repairs on your own video game controllers.
Oh wow! Is it as safe as handing it to someone who actually knows what they're doing?
No, but it's cheaper.
Yeah,
and you don't have to deal with, like, automated customer service.
Yeah, and I guess I don't have to deal with not having my controllers for, like, multiple weeks at a time while they
Possibly
fix them.
months.
Yeah, no, that's not a good thought.
No.
So, if I want to fix my own controllers, where do I go?
Just head over to vcrs.lol.net and enter the codes Q and PS86, and you will get a whopping 86% off your first pack containing a full set of a single thumbstick and all of the specialised screwdrivers and a special little cleaning solution thing that you need to change your first controller on any of the major brand of controllers.
And I'm glad that you said your first pack, because this problem ain't going away anytime soon. You're going to be repairing them a lot.
I'm afraid so. But, you know, like, the fact that you'll be able to do it yourself is going to cost you considerably less than it would have done otherwise.
Yeah.
And considerably less than a whole new controller.
Indeed. As they're overpriced, those controllers.
Yeah, so that's vcrs.lol.net and enter the code QNPS86. Inside the boardroom of Electronic Actor Softworks.
Hi. How's your day of businessy business meetings been going? Well, you know, I've had a few concerns. You know, the grunts, the workers, they're concerning me. I must be honest.
What are they doing that's concerning you?
So they are working on the power of collective bargaining. They're the U word has come up.
Oh no, not the U word.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. They're talking about. I can barely bring myself.
I find it easier to say a word that sounds kind of like the word because I can't actually get it out. So have they been talking about onion ionization?
Onion ionization.
Onion ionization.
They're ionizing.
They're ionizing.
Yeah, it started as just like a few of them. We sacked those, but like they keep coming out of the woodwork. These dirty commies. They're
Well, you see, they've realized that problem that we can't fire literally all of them.
I mean,
because like then we would have to work.
You make a good point.
And this is the problem. I think they've realized we can't fire them all.
Well, I've proposed that we just to sort of stop these murmurings, that we bring in some new office things to stop them, stop these things before they even start.
Right.
So
right.
I've banned them from having like birthday collections, like whip rounds for people's birthdays.
Oh, of course.
Obviously, then they'll realize that they can pool resources between them.
Yeah, don't let them realize that. No.
Exactly. We're stopping. We're building the walls on their little cubicles higher.
Yeah, less communication. I forget about the fact there's more of you than us.
You might not even see that there are other people in the office. You don't need to know about the other people.
There are many, many fewer of you than us.
There's only one of you and several bosses. You don't need to think about the other people that may or may not work on your floor.
No.
You might say it's petty, but I'm really drilling it right down. I've even stopped them holding the door open for each other.
Oh yeah, no, that's helping each other toward a greater good, and that's not what we're about.
No. So those are all in the employee handbook now. None of those things are allowed. And we've also made it so that the only union we recognize is one that isn't actually even for this industry.
Ha ha! You, my friend, are a fucking genius.
I know.
So, what have you put in your ears this week?
In mine ears?
Have you put much in your ears
no,
this
I
week?
put like one thing in my ears.
Do you want to get that one thing out the way, then I'll rattle mine off?
QWRPline Season 2 from the Loading Ready Run people. It's a fake local radio station thing with lots of very silly characters.
The way I would describe it is, what if Welcome to Night Vale lent more into the silly and less into the slightly unsettling?
Yes.
If it was a little less horror.
Yeah, if it was just like ridiculous locals and the ridiculous things they do, but in like a very sort of small town kind of way. Like you've got the farmer and the corn maze. You've got the ridiculously inept intern. You've got the guy who's supposed to report the traffic from the copter, who very rarely manages to talk about the traffic.
Yeah.
You've got the rum tunnels, which were previously used by pirates many, many years ago. There's this whole history of this fictional county of Innsbruck.
It's really delightful.
Yeah, it's very silly. And like, okay, they've polished it a bit from the first season, because in the first season they still used to put like completely corpsing.
Yeah.
Just like, I can't keep going on, just gonna have to give me a minute. This is too ridiculous. Like, there's one in, I think it's the first episode, where this hippie woman rings up to talk about all the weefies. All the weefies. From the first season of like, first episode, which I went back to listen to recently because there's only 3 episodes of the new season. But you can see how they've sort of honed characters along the way and got more into, we're going to make it one continuous thing, we're going to take out all the laughing stuff. But like, and that's available for free on YouTube.
It's very enjoyable.
Yeah.
You can jump into random episodes, and generally they're pretty self-contained.
Yeah, like, you don't need to know about the recurring characters. You might appreciate them you might get a bigger laugh out of them.
I very much enjoyed the out of context episode I heard about the chili fair.
Yeah, like season 2, episode 3, I think.
Yeah.
And you've heard maybe like 2 or 3 other
I've
episodes.
heard a couple of bits here and there, but you know.
Yeah. But the fact that you can still appreciate it with...
Very much, yeah.
Like, it's not a hard concept to pick up. It's 2 people on the radio interviewing people. There's only so much you can do from that and still confuse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun silliness.
Alright, shall I go through my couple of
Do it!
songs
Tell us
I
all the
listened
good
to?
things.
I'll skim through them nice and quick. I very much enjoyed a track called I Listened by a band called Apes of the State. Sort of an acoustic femme punk track about what it's like to pay attention and listen to a crush who's obviously kind of oblivious to how you feel about them. Like, the whole track is basically, this person she's got a crush on, you know, is like, oh, you're terrible at listening, and then she's like, oh, I made this song to go like, hey, I don't think I'm terrible at listening. Here is all the things I remember about you, because I fucking really like you. And by the end of it, it's like, oh, that's a lot of really sweet, specific, like, it very much hones that the category of things you tend to remember about someone that you really like. Where it's like, I like this, and I know you like this and this and this, and I remember you saying this, but also these are the emotional things I remember because I feel for your feelings. I'm like, oh, it's kind of bittersweet, but it's lovely. I also really enjoyed a track called Switzerland by a band called the Sonder Bombs. In terms of the sound of both like the music and the vocalist, it sounded a lot like Paramore. Not necessarily the sort of like pop punk era Paramore, but the sort of slightly slower, slightly more melodic later stuff that Paramore did. The track, you know, initially romanticizes Switzerland a little bit, but the bigger overarching narrative of the lyrics is more about wanting to be somewhere new when life goes wrong, you know, wanting to be able to have lots of new starts, try out lots of new lives, just sort of like not wanting to have to commit to anything too much. Just like, I'll just try a bunch of stuff. I'll eventually work out what my life's going to be. Interesting little track. There was a sort of comedy track called Don't You Know by Tim H. It's got a sort of mask vocalist singing about various common turns of phrase and how they're not as reassuring as you would hope they would be necessarily. Taking them very literally. Like, the one that jumps to mind is the very first one is something like, when people talk about how there's plenty more fish in the sea, it's like, that's not reassuring. I wanted one very specific fish. If anything, the fact there's lots of fish in the sea is going to make it very hard for me to find the fish I want. It's a lot of, like, just... As someone that has many a time in my life taken a turn of phrase a little too literally, I found some humour in his observations of turns of phrase. And there was one called Our Word by Jesse Shelton. It's got a really fun sort of like femme vocaled like jazz sound to it. It's like 5-6 minutes long. It's one of those like very telling a big long narrative over like double a song length kind of tracks. The narrative is about this little girl who ends up like accidentally breaking something in her dad's office she wasn't meant to be in, and her mum's just like, it's alright. We'll just fucking deny it. They're like, what ship in a bottle you never had? A ship in a bottle? We never saw a ship in a bottle. It must have rolled off the shelf by itself. A gust of wind. You know, it'll be our word against his. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Gaslighting.
Well, that's it. It's presented in the start of the song as like, don't worry. I'll have you back. You won't get in trouble. But the narrative escalation of that is that she ends up sort of getting into these situations where it's like, I would cover for one of my parents and they would cover for me, then I'd cover for the other parent and they would cover for me. And eventually it sort of escalates more, like she is clearly getting into some life event problems and her parents are both going, it's fine, we'll basically just be your alibi to cover for whatever you've done. And like, it's a real escalation of what starts off as like a little white lie to not get like this 8-year-old in trouble, escalating
I need to hide a body.
to being like, no, she's never driven a boat in her life. She wouldn't even know how to drive a boat, enter in the middle of a lake and dump a body. What are you on about? It's a bit absurdist, but like this kind of fun jazz thing under it, and the way it builds the narrative, like. It's not a narrative about a good person by any means, but it's a fun telling of a narrative. It kind of reminds me of something like, definitely not the same genre, but like Bill and Annie, that track we talked about recently that was in Welcome to Night Vale, in that
Peaches.
I may not agree with the motivations or choices of the characters, but it's a really interesting piece of music at telling a narrative.
Yes.
And the only other one I listened to is probably the song I've listened to most out of the Steven Universe movie. Disobedient.
Which one was that?
That's the one that Sadie sings in the sort of in the rock show.
Yeah.
And without going into too many specifics, because that film's, still kind of new, and I've got an article about this coming out soon.
Mm-hmm.
I've just been really enjoying listening to Sadie's tracks from Steven Universe and looking at the overarching theme of kind of punky tracks about how capitalism really sucks. Because, I don't think it's necessarily a plot spoiler to talk about that song's general themes. Disobedient is basically about... It's a song about that sort of terrible face you put on to talk to, customer-facing people in retail jobs. That sort of, hello, how can I do, sir? Oh, I'm putting on my happy, smiley customer face. And about feeling... That feeling you get when, I feel like it's easier when you're someone like Sadie's age who, that job, if you don't have it, you've probably got a safety net. But of just being like, I don't want to feel like I've wasted my life putting on this weird, terrible, forced happy face to do a terrible dead-end job, and I want to, sort of throw that away and do something meaningful.
Yeah,
I'm like, I can empathise with that sentiment. It's a good track. I love all of Sadie's tracks. I'm really glad that her narrative brought her to that point.
Yeah, definitely.
Sadie's music has been one of the highlights of Steven Universe for me for a little while now.
Yeah.
Is that everything you've listened to?
Everything I've listened to.
Well then, time for this.
You want some of that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, did you know?
Yeah.
That Brexit is actually a plot by the Badgers, yeah?
Well, that makes sense, because no human would be foolish enough to think Brexit was a good idea.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So what are Badgers getting out of this? What are they doing?
Right, what they're doing is, because the Tories keep allowing these cults, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So what it is, right, the Badgers are using Brexit to turn the humans on each other, and then, they'll be too busy focused on each other to, actually get on with the cult.
Are you suggesting that all of the death and suffering that's going to come from Brexit is actually the Badgers doing a human cull to avoid getting culled?
Well, they're getting the Tories to do the culling for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've turned the humans back against the humans, right? Although, Tories
didn't need any help,
Human is a loose approximation, anyway.
I was going to say the Tories.
Well, yeah.
They didn't need any help culling humans anyway.
No.
Do you find yourself exhausted during the middle of the day?
Yeah.
Would you like just a way you could squeeze just in a quick nap?
Oh, always.
But in a way that wouldn't affect the rest of your day?
Please.
Try the new Sleepy Time Pocket Dimension. Just pop it out of your pocket, put it down wherever you happen to be, and slip in for up to 45 minutes of nap.
And this won't eat into my day?
The Pocket Dimension is slightly out of time with the real world. In your 45 minutes, it will only have taken as many seconds. So you can wake feeling refreshed, step back out into the world, and get on with your day.
Thanks, Pocket Dimension.
Pocket Dimension, for all your nap time needs. Question time! Let's have questions!
What's the questions?
Future Fishy says, if you could have a good game adaptation of any piece of media, What would it be and who would make it?
I would love to have a really good Power Rangers, the original series video game developed by Platinum. Because I feel like they could do over-the-top character action stuff really well, with an ensemble cast that would then escalate to really dramatic places. They're very good at doing multiple gameplay types within one game, and I feel like they could do justice to the silly, over-the-top nature of something like Power Rangers really well. What about you?
My first instinct is to say, like, a really good RPG of Lord of the Rings.
Ooh.
Like, if they finished the Interplay one.
Yeah.
Because they did the first one. The second one was complete, but never officially released. I mean, I've played it.
Yeah.
It's not great, and it's missing a lot of bits. But, like, something in that vein of, like, a really in-depth, hey, do you want to go around and just wander into pretty much every hobbit hole, chat to everyone, go everywhere, while, you know, sort of loosely running along the plot of the books?
Yeah.
And getting to that. And especially when you get later on and suddenly you've got the option to skip between 3 separate parties and go and do all sorts of different things that way. There's so much potential there for that to be really awesome, but it's not been done great yet. I think you'd have to make it sort of fairly, like, loose on following the main plot.
Yeah.
It would need an almost Breath of the Wild-esque, hey, the big bad's just gonna happen. I've been holding it off for a really long time. If you could come and save me. I know you've got all of these side quests and a whole world to explore, but if you could head over here at some point, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And I suppose that would be Gondor.
Yeah.
Just going, hi! Next question is from Tricky. Hi, Tricky. Is there an 80s or 90s show that you would reboot?
I'd really enjoy a modern Darkwing Duck.
Darkwing Duck.
Yeah. I have very fond thoughts about Darkwing Duck.
Maybe like a really good anime of Transformers, like Gen 1 Transformers, done as like a huge anime.
Yeah, that'd be really nice.
Right? Yeah. I mean, obviously, maybe you could sort of incorporate bits from later generations and like the comic books and stuff, but G1 versions of the Transformers. Because you've sold enough fucking toys, Hasbro.
There's one that I wouldn't have said I would want until modern factors. I think it's going to happen and it will probably be good. Is the people who are making She-Ra to make a He-Man. Because
that's happening.
Is that confirmed?
That is happening.
Okay.
I don't think they're tying the two together.
Well.
I've heard that, and I think a lot of the same people are involved.
Well, considering how good Voltron was and how good She-Ra has been so far, like, I'll totally take a He-Man.
Yeah,
from those people.
I would be interested to see what they do with that.
Yeah.
With a more feelingsy,
how do you
less
modernise
one-dimensional,
that? Yeah.
not just selling toys version of He-Man.
Yeah.
Like, how can we have that?
Yes.
I want to see. Yeah, I'd be curious to see that. And with that, those people behind it, I'd be very up for more of that. I mean, Pokemon's being rebooted, so.
It apparently not. It is sticking with Ash and they're keeping going, contrary to the recent rumours to the contrary.
Okay.
I think a lot of people got very excited that Ash won something and they were like, oh shit, we gotta keep him around. People still care about Ash.
People do like Ash. Callum Turner, hi Callum. If you had the option not to sleep and have no physical or mental downsides, but could choose to sleep, how often would you choose to sleep?
I think I would still sleep every night, but I think I would probably not have my post-Quoops pre-Dice Funk nap, you know. Like, there are times like that where I'd be like, no, I'll just stay up and enjoy the evening with you, you know. Honestly, like, that's the main thing I would use it for, is if I had like a big strict deadline where I needed to get something done, or if I was playing a game and I was like, I really don't want to stop playing, or just, I physically need to go and sleep because I work in the middle of the night because of American time zones, but I don't want to miss out on time with you.
I think I would start with good intentions that I would sleep maybe once a week. But I would end up probably with the anxiety issue of I could do all the things that I'm always complaining I don't have time for. and just constantly
Yeah.
be trying to create things.
Well, here's the thing. Honestly, I would probably spend like a month or two binging all of that media I mean to catch up on, and then go, I've got nothing to
I'm
do.
bored now.
Yeah, it's now 10 o'clock at night, I've got nothing to do. I'll go to sleep with you.
But also, like, I could be like, I'd have time to go to the gym.
Yeah.
I'd be able to binge all the media. I could make more podcasts. I could create
Yeah.
more art.
Yeah.
Like, all of those things I don't usually have time for, or I'm just too exhausted for.
Yeah. It's tough to know these things.
I can see that being potentially really. There's no mental downsides of it, so it's hard to conceptualize. I guess I could see it being the kind of thing that would make me absolutely mental.
Okay, here's the thing. As someone that used to work, that used to create and make and consume and be doing things all the time that they were awake, it's not healthy to do that. You need to set yourself, these are the hours I do things between, and you need to give yourself time to do nothing.
That's the other thing. I'd also have time to do nothing.
Okay, well, yeah, that's... Okay, yeah. Have we got any other questions?
Yes, we do, but I'm rather stumped on that one, I must be honest.
Yeah.
The Wonder Gomer, what's your policy on floofy hair? I mean, my hair's pretty floofy. It's all split ends and such.
Considering how much I've bleached and dyed this hair, I have to be a fan of floofy hair at this point.
Yeah, I like floofy hair.
Yeah.
I like all sorts of hair.
There's lots of hair
I like
that's
no
good.
hair.
Yeah,
I like some hair.
yeah.
Long hair and short hair.
Floofy hair is one of the good varieties of hair.
Yeah, that's one of the many varieties. Like, my pubes are quite floofy. I spend a lot of time just patting those.
Just go in, that's quite floofy.
I just like patting my pubes sometimes.
Yeah, same. Yeah, yeah.
Becky too. Hi, Becky.
Hey, Becky. Hey. Love you, Becky.
Love you.
Mwah.
If you could have met each other sooner, would you have, or is there a point you feel like you wouldn't have been ready for each other?
I very much feel like we met each other at the right time.
Agreed. I mean, from my point of view, I think if I'd met you much earlier, it would have been kind of creepy.
Yeah, well, there's that, because, age difference and
Yeah.
whatnot. But even putting age aside, I think both of us met each other as we just come out of, like, the times in our lives that brought us to where we needed to be compatible.
Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah.
Although I think, like, if we were closer to the same age, I reckon we'd been the kind of people that might have hung out more.
Oh, I think so, yeah.
And probably would have been quite good for that, and probably would have gone through transition together quite in a very supportive way.
Wouldn't that have been adorable?
I think if we were closer in age, I think that would have been much more a possibility.
Yeah.
And that would have been really cool. But I think otherwise it just feels like, if we'd met more than 5 years ago, it would have been like more than 5 years earlier, it would have been weird as fuck.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. And Lucy and Evans would like to know what food would you miss?
What's a food that's really messy to eat and therefore sticks would provide a clean way to eat?
Seitan ribs.
Some good seitan ribs on a stick.
There you go.
Yeah,
there's no bones.
There we
Seitan
go.
ribs.
Done.
Sorted. Or seitan fried chicken.
Oh yeah.
Basically, we just want to put fake bones in our fake meat. Yeah, but recyclable bones, please.
Yeah.
And non-environmentally damaging. So yeah, that's all the questions. Thank you very much for asking your questions.
Is it time for this?
It is time for this. Do you want to know what I want to see more of?
What do you want to see more of?
Social justice warriors.
Social justice warriors?
Yeah.
All right, Larry.
All right, Barry. How you doing?
Oh, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. You been up to much?
Oh, just been a busy weekend. I've been working all weekend. I'm ready for a good sleep if I don't say so myself.
Well, maybe some sort of nap or other.
Oh, yeah. I picked up that pocket dimension recently.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
going to be well good for getting there, squeezing a good nap in.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, have you been thinking about anything particular
Oh
this
yeah,
week?
yeah. As I do, as I
As
do,
you do,
as you do,
mate.
as
As we do.
we do. I was going down the high street the other day, and I happened to see someone being a bit snooty to someone who was doing a retail job. But
Yeah.
I don't know if you have seen something like this. You know, the bin men were going down, emptying the bins on the high street, and saw one of these, saw a mother and child go past, and the parent says to the child, you better work hard at school or you'll end up working like them. And it's that real dismissive attitude you see towards people who work in certain industries.
Yeah, and it's weirdly, it's the industries that, like, society relies on most.
Yeah, they are vital, infrastructure things that keep life going.
Yeah, do you want disease spread all over the place in this highly disposable society?
Yeah.
Especially in the inner cities, like, it's not like we can just compost everything.
Yeah, there is no ground to compost on in fucking miles.
Exactly, there's not the space to deal with things as you might if you had, like, a big garden or something.
Yeah. Well, this is it. You see it with people who work in, like, say, refuse, or say work in
janitorial.
Janitorial. I mean, you see it in, like, retail work as well. You see, talking down on people who might work behind a counter in a fast food place or something.
I've worked in fast food. I can tell you. Yeah, exactly.
Well, and that one always gets me, because it's like, the whole reason you're coming to a fast food place is you want a meal prepared for you that you do not want to have to prepare yourself.
Yeah.
That is a service that you want to exist that's convenient for you. Don't be dismissive of the people who work that job, because the fact that you get to have that convenience is because people do that work you don't want to do.
Yeah, and, most of those people would not last 5 minutes working in actual fast food.
Oh, God,
because
no.
it is an incredibly high-pressure job.
Yeah.
You might go, oh, it's just making burgers. Okay, yeah, it is making burgers, but it's making hundreds of burgers a day to an exact standards. And while people, even other members of staff, can be incredibly horrible to you.
Yeah. Well, this is it. It's a lot of these jobs that people want to be done magically for them, but they don't. They want to act as if they're better than the people doing these jobs. But it's like, some of these are jobs that, if these people weren't doing them for you, you would very quickly notice.
Very quickly, and I mean, especially with, like, the rubbish collectors and janitorial stuff, like, the fact that, like, everybody's health would massively deteriorate, the amount of, disease and stuff like that would be rising from all the filth and debris everywhere that you don't want to handle.
Exactly. You've got to say, like, well, bus drivers, for example, like, they're having to spend their whole shift being, like, the level of alert awakeness you need to do inner city driving on a very large vehicle that, obviously is more difficult to manoeuvre around the roads.
While people might potentially be trying to talk to you, while you might have lots of noisy passengers.
Where your passengers often don't have seatbelts, and, that's the thing you've got to be very aware of with your driving stuff. Oh, I just wish people were more considerate of people who are doing jobs that, they want done for them.
Yeah.
Just
definitely.
be appreciative that these jobs are getting done.
Absolutely, mate, absolutely.
Yeah. You want that hug?
Oh, I would love that hug, mate.
Yeah.
That's a good hug, mate.
Yeah. I'm ready for that nap, I think.
Yeah, well, I'm going to pop the kettle on. And
You gonna have a cup of tea?
So, tuck yourself in, mate.
Oh, will do.
Laura!
Me?
Where can we find you on the internet, darling?
Laura K. Buzz in all of the places. Laura K. Buzz on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Patreon, that's the one that pays the bills. You can find all of my stuff at laurakbuzz.com, which is where I post links to absolutely everything I post, be it podcasts, videos, written articles, stuff I do for other websites. I do a lot of stuff for Sci-Fi Fangirls. You can check that out, search for Sci-Fi Fangirls. You can find my books. There's Uncomfortable Labels. That is out now in book places.
That's a good book.
There is an audiobook of it. It is on laurakbuzzstore.com. You can get it there. There's another book, Things I Learned from Mario's Butt. It's a coffee table book of silly video game character butt reviews with illustrations and a lot of guest contributors. A bunch of people you might know. One of the McElroys did something for it, for example.
Mm-hmm.
That is gonna be very soon. And Dice Funk, it's a Dungeons and Dragons podcast. Podquisition, 5 years deep, we are getting a new host with this week's episode, so it'll be me, Jim Sterling, and Conrad Zimmerman, who you may have heard on Dice Funk or
Boston's Favourite
Son, for example, yep. There is also Pixel Square. It is a podcast where me and Mari and Stacey from the Geek Remix YouTube channel will review video game pornography that we find, and I think that's it.
Heck.
Go read my thing about that game jam. It's on laurakbuzz.com.
And all your other things.
Yeah, but particularly that one. That one was real good. Or go check Rare's Twitter to go see my article about Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm Maniac Janiac on Twitter and YouTube, but most places I'm Stoned Monkey Radio, and you can find me there on places like The Sounded Cloud, where you might be listening to this now, and my Patreon is Stoned Monkey Radio. Thank you to all the people that support me over there. I very much appreciate you. It is only the first today, so I haven't had full details about everyone in this month, but don't worry, next week's episode everyone will get a nice shout out. Thank you very much. I super appreciate you all. I love you. You're lovely. Also, if you want to just send me a one-off, that's paypal.me/JaneMagnet. You could be awesome and help me support and get extra creative things, which I've very much been blessed with. So, yeah. Think that's all of the things. Oh, Curiosity Epidemic. I was in that Baddie Designated Heroes podcast. We finished the first season of that. The second season's going to be on my SoundCloud. And, yeah. If you listen to that, we could listen to the new series of Polyamory. Listen to Polyamory. Yeah, because the new season is starting soon, and I'm very, 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 very hyped for that. I've done lots and lots and lots of new work for the new series. So hype! Yeah, so, Laura, sing us out, my darling.
Until next time, be a stranger.
Oh well.